Very good morning to everyone. Welcome to my channel, Ballstall Boys Towers. As you can see, it's a glorious day. Just sitting out the front round the table, having a cup of coffee and reminiscing the beautiful weekend ahead of us. So guys, I can see from my last few videos that my views are going up, and I must be hitting that little sweet spot, because I've seen the views climbing slowly and slowly, so I know I'm on the right subject. So later on today I'm going to be revealing how our firm, my gang, got taken down by a paid informer which was put on us to put us under surveillance from Barnes Flying Squad and Tower Bridge Flying Squad. At the time the paid informer was put onto us, both of the flying squads didn't have much evidence on us whatsoever. They only had our MO, which is our mapping offence, and those both forces were fighting with each other and clutching at straws, trying to get us nicked and putting us under surveillance, basically trying to catch us on the job. I want to tell you another little story about one day when we went back to the slaughterhouse and we got a phone call just before we landed on our street from one of our neighbours, which lived 3 doors along from us. There was a little Italian family, elderly couple, and they got on really well with me and my co-defendant. There's an Italian family, and we used to go up to the shop for them, get them to the news agents, go and get them bits of shopping and papers and milk and things like that and bread. So we got on really well with them, and they knew what we was up to, but obviously it was nothing to do with them, and that's how it used to be years ago, you know. People didn't get involved in other people's businesses, people didn't get involved in other people's things because it would drag them into it at the time. So that's just how it was. But yeah, I've got a little story about this time when we was coming home. You all right, mate? This time when we was coming home, and we got a phone call from the guy, and I couldn't not go and have a look. So we landed just a few streets away from it, and I walked onto the road and I see marksmen on top of the roofs of the building. I see armed police everywhere. There was 2 ambulances waiting outside our property, and it was swarming with the police. So at this stage they found our slaughterhouse. So yeah, by now they had our name, and they still couldn't catch us because we were so slippery, and we was moving from house to house. 1 minute it was over South London, then it was over West, then East, then North. You know, then we used to go up into Surrey, Cambridge, all around the surrounding areas. We was lively, we was quick, and we was good at our game. But yeah, we got taken down in the end by a paid informer, which today, how do I feel about this paid informer today? Back then, when he first glassed us up and stood in the dock at the Old Bailey and give evidence against us, went QE on us, he went under duress. He said that we kidnapped him, my firm. He said we put him under duress. He was in fear for his life and he couldn't escape, and we was making him commit all the robberies. And that is how he only got a 6-year sentence. I got 12, one of my colleagues got a 13, another one got a 15, one got a 14, another one got a 17 because he had other charges. But yeah, there was quite a few of us what got took down by this one shit cunt paid informer. I can't really mention names because there is people on my channel which know the person what I'm actually talking about. And yeah, when we was away, obviously it was on our records never to meet him. So every jail we landed to, he had just been shipped out of, and like for instance, we got to Whitemoor and he had only just been shipped out 2 days previously. And but when I was on remand, I was showing my statements because I had all my statements from my solicitor, my deps. I had all my deps photocopied. I had so many copies, and I was passing them to all the main chaps of the jail. Whatever jail I went to, I passed them the statements on about this grass, just to let them know who he was. And yeah, when I got to Whitemoor, I got hold of a guy in there called Paul Massey. Become very good friends with Paul actually. He was on my food boat, and I was with him later on in his sentence in Parkhurst too. that's another story what I want to tell you guys about. But yeah, Paul Massey, when I spoke to him, he said, how you doing, Joe? And you know, all the rest of it. And I showed him my statements and he couldn't believe it. He said, you've got to be joking. And I said, nah. He said, that little rat has just left here 2 days before and he was bowling about on the landing like he's an armed robber and he's in your firm and he was one of the front runners and he was a big chap. Paul Massey or none of the other boys in Whitemoor at the time was aware that he was a paid informant until I actually got there. So yeah, he's gone by. He'd been gone by then. He tried to get Paul Massey arrested too. Well, he did get Paul Massey arrested. He got him pulled in, got him questioned over something which happened in Whitemoor. Basically, the Grass blamed Paul Massey for making him cut a nonce up, and the nonce pressed charges. And yeah, the Grass in my case ended up doing the 6 years and then getting a life sentence for cutting the nonce up. And Paul Massey got an NFA on it, down to my statements, because Paul's solicitor asked me if they could possibly have a photocopy of my statements, because he was going under, the Grass in my case was going under duress against Paul, and saying that Paul made him cut the nonce up, and down to my statements, Paul Massey got an NFA. So yeah, that was music to my ears. Stayed in Whitemoor, but another very, very good friend of mine who come and landed in there, he's since passed away, rest in peace. He was a very, very good friend of mine, a legend, very well known throughout my family, and a very likeable person. His name was Tony Crabb. Tony got hold of him, Tony got hold of the Grass in Brixton jail and done the business on him. So yeah, when Tony landed to me, I was really grateful that he told me that he just served the Grass up, because Tony obviously read my statements and heard about it and things like that, because he's a close, and Tony was part of a big thing in Mitcham years ago, Rosehill, southwest London, a very nice chap. And in the end, I'm gonna leave that one there, because I've got another story coming up about Tony Crabb. You know, I can't just leave it there about Tony, because I miss him so much, and he was such a good friend of mine that I'm going to share a few stories about Tony later on. But yeah, this story is mainly about the Grass, how we got took down. So that's how we got took down. Basically, this Grass was put in someone's house to put us under surveillance. At the time, we didn't know who he was. He come there as someone on the run, give me a load of cock and bull story, and said he needed to get out of the area because he'd been on a bit of work. He's an armed robber, been on a bit of graft, come on top for him and need to get out of the country. This is how he landed in the house where I'll see him. And he was put there by the flying squad all along. We didn't even know, didn't have a clue. He told me that cock and bull story and said he needed money to get out of the country. So like an idiot, like a big idiot, I took him on a few bits of work going across the pavement. And when I mean a few bits of work, I mean a security van, 2 post offices, a bank. We even done a supermarket wage snatch with him. Went up into the office, frog marched the manager up there and done the business, cable tied him up, I made him done that. So he had quite a lot of evidence on us. But yeah, he was part of us, if you know what I mean. He wasn't created around my firm, and he wasn't even welcome in my firm, because my co-defendants, not for 1 minute, didn't ever trust him. They hated him from the off, and they said to me there's a bad smell about him. But I've always had a bit of a soft spot. I've always worn my heart on my sleeve, and you know, if someone I feel is genuine and honest and they've got a bit of a story, then you know, nowadays I'm a completely different person. I don't listen to all them cock and bull stories, and I take people for face value. But that is how he become to get in our firm. And yeah, we took him on at least 7 armed robberies, and he was going on them. He was only going on them as a driver. We was going out, jumping out of the cars, going across the pavement, having a demand up, jumping back into the car, and then getting out of his car, changing into another car. And it was his job to take the car to a breakage yard, which we had in Croydon, Sumner Road. I knew the bloke on the crane there, and every single job what we'd done, I had previously arranged with him, so that if any of my cars come into the yard, or if I give him a phone call the day before and tell him that there's a car coming into the yard the next morning, it needs to go straight to the slaughter. And that is all the Grass was. He was a driver, and he was taking our cars to the slaughter. But on this occasion, I'm gonna mention this on another occasion, because I'm gonna make a story up. I'm gonna tell you the story about, not make a story. I'm gonna tell you the actual truth and the story of how we got caught, how it went for us, and things like that. But yeah, he was the grass in our case, and I've got a lot more to tell you. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope everyone's gonna have a great weekend. The sun surely is out. Peace.